was 2 guitars that were playing.
That was 2 guitars right there? That's
yeah, well, I mean, it was, like I said, I was going to do it on the 12 string, but I was getting some feedback, so I did it on the other guitar.
Yeah.
But that was before I got the new mic cords, so they sound a lot better. But that's I just did nice. 2, yeah, because I could direct plug in with my other guitar. The 12 string doesn't have any kind of interface on it. It's an older guitar, so. But yeah, that's two different guitars playing over each other.
Which one is that? Is that the Gibson?
That one? Yeah, that's the Gibson.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the nice one. That was from Uncle Butch.
Nice.
It's a nice guitar. It's not bad. I'm not gonna lie. Dude,
pretty guitar.
We're finally doing it. How long was I trying to get you to do this?
Let's see.
It's been a while.
I mean, we've been thinking about it.
Yeah, we always kind of toss the idea around. Just
idea's been around for like maybe a year.
Yeah,
like
but
we just jokingly brought it up.
Yeah, there was no
like, oh yeah,
zero plan.
No,
like,
not at all.
Hey, we should do it. And I'm like, yeah, you know what else we should do? Become astronauts. I think this is easier though.
Yeah, this would probably be a lot easier.
Just a bit.
But yeah, no. But when we seriously started talking about this was probably only...
That was when I brought it up to you.
A few months ago.
Yeah. A couple months, maybe.
Yeah.
Not 3. It was like maybe 2.
Yeah.
It took a while, but we got it. We're here. We got the ball rolling.
Actually, sitting down and doing it, yeah.
So, welcome everybody if you're listening. Listeners.
Hello.
Everyone has been waiting with bated breath. This is our podcast, the Something Supernatural podcast. Yay!
Hello.
I'm John.
I'm Caleb.
And we're basically going to talk about spooky stuff.
Yep. Everything that can creep you out, whether it's murderers.
Initially I was kind of thinking like supernatural stuff, but then there's a lot of podcasts like that out there. I didn't want it to be... I've watched a bunch of them. I've listened to a bunch of them, and most of the time, I'm not pointing any fingers or anything, but most of the time it's like, what if, guessing games, like, here's my ideas on it. I kind of wanted to try as best you can when you're talking about stuff like this to be a little more concrete.
Okay.
That's why I was doing all this research and trying to find out about our first subject, which, good segue. This is about the Melon heads.
Cool.
If you're not familiar with the Melon heads, basically, the Melon heads, it's the same story. There's 3 different states, which I only knew there was Ohio and Michigan, but there's also Connecticut. Which
I only thought that was like a local legend, honestly.
Same. I had heard about, the only reason I heard about the Michigan ones is because I had been to, yeah, that was Michigan. We had been to Michigan before. And that was the only reason that I had an idea that there was another state that also had a similar legend. It's basically the same thing.
Okay.
Connecticut, I had no idea. Connecticut is interesting.
Yeah, no, I always thought, like, I heard they were in, like, the Kirtland area. It was in Northeast Ohio legend.
Yeah, Kirtland, Chardon area. Well, we went to the house, actually, in Ohio.
Yeah, we did try and do that. We went melonhead hunting once.
That was pretty creepy. It was the perfect night. Oh, my God.
That was creepy as hell.
That was the best night possible that we could have picked for that. Well, it was in the fall.
Yep.
And it was the fall night. I think it was October, maybe.
It was like nice. It was
definitely fall.
Typical fall night, wind blowing.
But a nice fall night, though. Very crisp. Not cold.
The moon was full.
The moon was full, and the clouds were kind of sparsely populating the sky.
Yeah.
So the moon would go away and come back out.
Oh, dude.
And we didn't have a light. We had our phone lights, which were not very good and still aren't.
Yeah, no.
We get to the place. So it's on Wisner Road. It's Wisner, Wisner.
Right.
Everybody would always say Windsor, but no, it's Wisner Road, which is, if you go to that area, and it's in Chardon, Wisner Road in Chardon, if you go to that area, it's like Ohio River valleys, big, deep ravines, tall hills going up, 100 feet, 150 feet, steep. It kind of in the not backcountry, but it's definitely thick woods. It's
a valley. It's a valley area.
Yeah, it's about as thick as you're gonna get without going to like a wilderness area or a big national park.
Yeah.
And we're there at night, and the wind is blowing, the trees are rustling, everything's dry and crackly.
Oh man, that was creepy. just walking along in the woods, and then all of a sudden, it sounded like someone was following us.
Dude, you said you saw something off the side. So we walked on, how far we go? Like 100 yards maybe? Not that far. Not far.
We went as far as we could drive back there. Yeah. We parked, and then we walked, I don't know.
Like 50 yards.
More than that. I would say at least 100 yards.
100 yards. Not that far. I didn't think it was that far. But also, it was a long time ago.
Yeah. At least 100 yards, maybe.
So we were kind of back in the woods a little bit, and we crossed this bridge, and we took a right. Yeah. And then you see, like, dude, I see something off to the right, and we heard some crackling. I think it was just a deer or something. But I took off running. You heard me running. And you're like, shit, we gotta go!
Oh, man, yeah, it freaked me out. But then, like, you could still hear something running behind us, and that was sketchy.
See, I didn't hear that. I heard something off the trail, and then I took off running, and then I heard you running, and I was like, he's gone! He's a goner!
It sounded like something was running behind us.
Could have been. Maybe it was like a raccoon or coyote or something.
Freaked me out.
That was fun. That was a perfect night to do that. Of course, it was also at night. So there was probably like a coon. It was a possum. It was nothing bad.
Some kind of marmot.
A groundhog. I don't know. Yeah, we've never seen a melon head. I don't know anybody that claims to have seen one in person. I've never met anyone from this area, and our families are both our families came to America and moved to Chardon, basically.
They've had them in movies, though. I've seen them in movies.
There's a Melonhead movie. There's a movie called Melonheads. It was about the Michigan legends.
I think of them like The Hills Have Eyes, those horror movies.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with the Melonheads.
Oh, no.
That's totally different. Yeah.
But like that, there's like one in there.
Yeah. Did you know that they made a movie called Melonheads?
No.
Yeah, let me pull that up. It's called...
Let me see it.
The Melonheads, 2011, and it was about the Michigan legends. Actually, you know what? I'm going to pull up, for reference, the Google Earth project that I started. I sent that to you. Were you able to get into that?
No, I didn't.
Did you try it on your computer? Try it on your computer, because I couldn't get into it on my phone either. But all that was, I just saved the locations, basically, that were creepy. Supposedly had to do with the legend. What's that? Here we go. So let's talk about Michigan first. Probably a good way to start. Let's talk about Michigan. So the Melonhead legend, I didn't know anything about it until I started researching it. In Michigan, it's based in this place called Laketown Township. Laketown Township is a civil township in Allegan County in Michigan. About the same population as where I grew up in Geneva, I think.
Okay.
Roughly the same. So it's like one of those
coastal.
Great Lakes coastal
towns.
Just one of those small towns like Fairport Harbor, basically.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. And they've got this it butts up on the western coast of Michigan, and the whole side of it is along the entire town. Actually, it extends past the town. Is basically kind of sand dune parks and pretty thick woods, based on the pictures I've seen in the descriptions I've read. Okay. It's called Saugatuck Dunes State Park, which is where the mansion is. Supposedly, this mansion is the origin of the Melonhead legends in Michigan.
Like the one that started it all?
As far as I could find, yeah. I couldn't find anything else. There was specifically two origin, I don't know what. I think the first one was definitely it's called the Felt Mansion, Dor E. Felt Mansion. It's a park, it's a public land, what is it? A national, what do you call it? National, I'm having a brain fart.
Like a national
I don't think it's a national monument, but it's like a state monument or something. So the guy that built it is Dor E. Felt. Now he built that. Oh, I got his information right here. I'm glad I wrote all these notes down so I don't have to scramble. So he was born in March 18th of 1862 in Wisconsin, and he died when he was 68, so in 1930. He had that mansion built, I think he started it in 1890s, mid-late 90s. Let me see here. No, not the 90s.
That's crazy. That was started in Michigan, though.
Yeah. Here it is.
I had no idea.
Oh, it is. It was the 1919 is when he bought he bought several hundred acres of land on the western coast of Michigan. Very beautiful area. I don't think I've been to that part. I don't remember. I've been to Michigan a few times. I don't remember all where I've been. I don't think that I've been to the western coast as far as I could tell. My dad would be able to tell because he took us there.
Okay.
Somewhere in Michigan.
Huh.
I remember being in the lake. Don't remember if it was on the western coast or not. It's a cool state though. Last time I went was actually for that concert. Got a Ben Sevenfold concert at the casino, Soaring Eagle Casino.
Nice.
That was fun. It was a good time. So anyway, he bought this land in 1990 on the west coast of Michigan, several hundred acres, and he called it Shore Acres Farm. And then he started building this mansion in 1925, and it finished 3 years later. Now, the guy had all the money from doing this because he actually invented the comptometer, which Grandpa had that wooden little box.
No way.
Yeah, he had a version of a comptometer.
That's crazy.
Which is basically like the calculator before the calculator. So this guy became essentially a millionaire by today's standards, like a multi-millionaire by today's measurements. You know, inflation and all that.
Yeah.
So he got rich off of that.
That's crazy.
Bought all this land, had a bunch of kids with his wife Agnes, and started building this mansion. It took him 3 years. The mansion got finished. Now his wife died very, very quickly after having the mansion built. I think it was less than 3 months or
what happened?
Weeks. I don't know. I couldn't find out how she died. I couldn't find any information on that. It just says she died very quickly after that. And then he died, I think it was a couple of years later.
Old age, maybe she got like kicked by a horse or something.
Kicked by a horse? Maybe. He died 2 years after that. He died 2 years after.
Then that's like the stereotypical like heartbreak.
Yeah, I totally see that. Which actually, that's a good point you made because the most real thing I found about this Melonhead story is that the mansion is haunted by Agnes, the ghost, because they say in life she didn't get to enjoy her new home that her husband built for her. So people see her. It's a big 3-story mansion, you know, with tons of rooms. And a 3rd-story ballroom. People see her in the ballroom dancing by herself. Wow. Yeah, dancing in the ballroom. The people that work there now see her moving up and down the stairs, all that kind of creepy stuff. So she's, you know, as far as we can consider ghosts are real, that's up to you personally whether you believe that. I know, I do. You do. Yeah. A lot of people do. Some poll I was reading about, I don't know who they asked for this poll. It wasn't me, but the estimate was that over 50% of adults in America believe in ghosts and afterlife and spirits and all that.
I haven't looked at a recent poll of that, honestly.
Demons.
Oh, demons.
The demons. The demons in your soul.
Gorgiles.
Gorgiles. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds terrifying, man.
That's like from the 90s. What was that show? Trading Spouses, the God Warrior Lady.
Oh, that was from the 2000s.
Yeah,
late 2000s.
Okay, yeah.
That was more recent than
whatever.
Sure.
I'm
a God Warrior.
Time frames. Yeah, the God Warrior.
I'm a Christian soldier.
I just remember saying Gorgiles, Dark Sided.
I kind of remember that.
Demons.
Now. We watched that when it came out, and I just remember my mom being there, going crazy.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was
a good time.
Anyway.
That was a great episode.
But yeah, digress. So, with this place that's haunted, what's that have to do with the
Melonheads? Yeah. So that's kind of my point. I could not find anything that sounded reasonable that there would be a Melonhead origin. So I'm gonna kind of go over the history. They bought the Felt estate, he bought it in 1919. He finished the house in 1928. He died. So Agnes died 6 weeks after the family moved in, and then Dorr, the father, Dorry Felt, he died about a year and a half later in 1930, and the family kept the home until 1949. So after World War II, you know, more modern, more sophisticated calculators started coming out.
Yeah.
And that basically drove the family out of business because their whole thing was the comptometer. You know, time marches on, nothing's gonna stop that or slow down. So the family actually sold the business that he had started for the Comptometres to Victor Calculator, who invented the calculator, I'm pretty sure. Obviously, I would say his name's Calculator.
Oh my god.
So they sold the business to him, and in 1949, the family auctioned off a bunch of the items, whatever furniture he had built. Wow, I bet it was some nice furniture too, like handcrafted American goods. Come on.
Some good old Amish made, handcrafted.
Would it have been Amish
organic?
It would have been American trees, American hands putting it together.
Free range.
American iron.
Vegan.
Iron. Vegan? Is that even a thing back then?
I have no idea.
I don't think so. Vegan. These trees are vegan trees. I only feed them other plants. But the family sold the mansion and a bunch of the stuff that, whatever furnishings and all that had been there in 1949 to the St. Augustine Seminary, and they turned it into a school for boys, basically, a nun school for boys.
Interesting.
Nun-run school for boys.
Ugh.
So, Catholic prep school for young men, and it got pretty popular, and they built the seminary school on a ridge next to the mansion, west of the mansion. The nuns lived in the mansion, and then they used the carriage house for classrooms and the mansion for housing as well, not just for the nuns, but also for the boys. And eventually, over time, actually, before I move on to what happened after that, the kids there, the locals apparently. I've read a bunch of local accounts from old newspaper clippings and all that stuff. Okay. I emailed a few people. I called a few people. I couldn't get any direct responses, so I secondhand accounts, thirdhand accounts here.
Right.
But they called the boys wobbleheads kind of as an insult because it was a Catholic preparatory school for young boys, so you got to pay to go there.
Wobbleheads?
Yeah, so that's my point. They went there. The locals were jealous because, it's kind of people with money are able to go to Catholic prep schools and all that.
Yeah.
So they called them wobbleheads kind of as an insult because they got big heads.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they call them wobbleheads. They call them, I read the mayor had a quote where he said that they call them melon heads or wobbleheads. I don't know if they call them melon heads or if that was adopted later because of the other origin stories of melon heads from here in Connecticut. But they call them wobbleheads for sure. And again, it was an insult. Like, oh, you've got higher education.
You got a big ass head full of smarts.
You got a head full of words. So they call them that as an insult, basically. And then in 1977, they weren't doing so well over time. It just kind of died off. So they sold it to the state. And the state of Michigan purchased the property to use as a prison.
Oh, wow.
This is where it got a little interesting, a little darker. Part of the mansion was used for state police offices, and then there was the Wilmette Drug Enforcement Agency.
And this was all part of the school?
No, this was after. They had sold it in 1977 to the state, and the state turned it into a prison, basically.
Gotcha.
And a correctional facility. And they closed the prison down in 1991, and then they sold it until 93, I believe, or 95. And they sold it back to the township for $1 under the stipulation that the mansion is for public use and not to be sold for private enterprise. Huh. So I was digging around trying to find out about this prison. It was kind of hard to find. I couldn't find any direct records. I eventually found a Facebook page that was run by a guy who used to work there, and I think he still works for the state today. I messaged him a bunch of times. He never gave me a response. I was actually kind of worried he was going to block me. So I took all the pictures that he had and newspaper clippings because people were sending him stuff based on what I could find. People were sending him stuff, and he was posting it on Facebook. And I followed the group. I messaged him. He never got back to me. So I took those pictures because I was worried he might block me for bugging him or something. Mm-hmm. So I got all those. They're pretty cool. Nothing.
Did he end up blocking you? Did you spam him?
No, I actually don't know. I haven't looked in a while. He might have. I don't think he did. I only messaged him like 5 times. I was getting the sense that he didn't want to talk about what had happened there. So the prison, before they closed it down, the reason they closed it down was because it was one of the smaller. for its size, it was the most expensive state. Excuse me, most expensive prison for that size in the state.
Wow.
Yeah, so they had a meeting in the town, and they were talking about what they were going to do, and eventually they decided they were going to close it down. And a few of the things I had read, nothing from prisoners that I could find, but people that had worked there had been some issues. There's some newspaper clippings I was reading. This lady had retired because of two of the guards that had worked there. So there was a little bit of animosity going on as far as the faculty was concerned. And I couldn't find anything about the prisoners, but eventually that closed down. That was about...
Were the complaints from the faculty like...
About other faculty members. There was some kind of harassment going on, so a lady had quit. And
what kind of harassment?
I don't know. I couldn't find any specific
We all know
details.
what kind of harassment goes on with the Catholics. Hey!
Yeah, but this is after that. This is definitely after that. This is a legit prison. I couldn't find anything specific as far as that is concerned, and nobody wanted to talk about it either.
Yeah.
From the people that I messaged, reached out to. So they sold the township, I think in 95 for $1. Excuse me, they sold the land back to the township for $1. Again, under the stipulation that it was for public use and not sold or used for any kind of private enterprise or anything like that. Now, there's actually a restoration that started in the 2000s. Because the land had been dilapidated, they had let it sit for a long time, got run down and overgrown and everything. And this old couple was hiking, and they went there and looked at it, and eventually they decided to go to their town, get people to help them out, and they built it back up. It's actually really beautiful right now.
So it's like a park now?
Yeah, it's kind of a park. I mean, it's it's a park that the township owns it. It's public park, but they have weddings and stuff there now and all kinds of events.
Huh.
Yeah, it's really, really very beautiful the way that they've redone it up and everything. So, I could not for the life of me find where the Melon heads tied into that. I couldn't find anything that had to do with a doctor. So the closest that I found was in southwestern Michigan. I think this is further south than where the Felt Mansion is. There's Cook Nuclear Power Plant in Bridgman. In Michigan, southwestern Michigan. I can't remember where exactly that is in comparison to the Felt Estate. I don't know if I marked it here. I don't think I did. I didn't mark it down. It was in an area that was less believable than the Felt Mansion, because it says the legend is basically because of the asylum there. Some people that lived in the woods didn't want to leave their land, and so they were getting irradiated from the power plant, which is a little silly.
That's strange.
It's not really how power plants do business.
Yeah.
If people were just getting irradiated and mutated by power plants, I don't think that we would run a lot on nuclear
They didn't
power.
even do that with Chernobyl, so what? You think that's going to happen here? Okay.
Yeah, that was the most Melon-headish thing that I could find, but there's nothing that stood out, nothing that sounded more reasonable than a doctor doing experiments on kids.
Right.
But apparently, if you go in the woods behind there, it's kind of like a maze. It's just real thick, and there's tight trails, and it's easy to get lost. And couldn't find any records of it, but apparently there was an insane asylum. According to the legend, there was an insane asylum back in the woods before the power plant was there, and a fire. It's always a fire.
Fire took it down?
Yeah, partially burned it down. See, I think all of this kind of derives from Ohio, the fire at least, because when we get to that, there was a legit fire that burned part of this house down.
Yeah, you're right.
On Wishner Road.
Yeah.
That really happened. Now, what was in that house was probably, who knows? We'll cover that. We'll get to it. We're still doing the Michigan stuff right now. Yeah. Nothing crazy though. I mean, everything. The coolest thing about that was the ghost haunting. It seems like Felt Mansion is haunted by the wife. It seems like she doesn't want to leave because she didn't get to spend a whole lot of time there while she was alive.
She wants to spend eternity there.
Yeah, nothing about the husband though, just the wife specifically.
Yeah, she wants to enjoy some peace and quiet by herself, I guess,
Sick
for the rest of
eternity.
Yeah.
Sick of his clicking.
Wait, what was his name again?
Dorr, D-O-R-R.
Dorr?
Yeah, Dorr Eugene Felt.
Oh, I don't even know how the hell did you say his name bad. Never mind. Dorr? You're going to be pissed off at Dorr? This is a strange name. They had some strange names back then.
Yeah. Well, there's strange names today.
That's true.
Not mine. But, other names.
Mine, no.
60% of all men on Earth are named John.
And mine is just biblical.
Oh, so is mine. But that's such a huge number.
Yeah.
Although mine's a little more unique because it's Jonathan. It's not just John, but still. Juan.
I was what was it in the Bible? It was like a spy or something in the Bible. Familiar. I forget what the story is, but
I haven't read a Bible in a while.
Yeah, no.
Well, that's about it for Michigan.
Yeah, good.
Some stories from Lake Town Township, where the Felt Mansion resides in Allegan County, Michigan. Apparently, if you're out on the trails in the state park, Saugatuck Dunes State Park, if you're flicking lights on and off, like if you have a flashlight, if you're parked somewhere, you flick your headlights on and off. Apparently that makes them appear.
The melon heads appear?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh!
And it's always children with hydrocephaly, which is, if you've ever heard the term water on the brain, that means your head is swollen. There's some pretty gnarly pictures out there. That's a real condition.
That's like what I was talking about with The Hills of Ice.
Yeah,
in that movie, that's what the one guy is. But that's just like...
That was all nuclear radiation, though. That had nothing to do...
Yeah.
Well, maybe you're talking about the dude in the wheelchair with the...
Yeah. Big old noggin.
America. He was singing. He was singing something.
He liked the national anthem.
Was it the national anthem?
Yeah. Then he ended up getting eaten by a dog. It was badass.
Yeah. He looked like he had some serious problems.
Yeah.
He looked like. Actually, he looked like someone that had hydrocephaly as far as his head being all swollen like that. It does kind of look like that. It's pretty gnarly.
Yeah. It definitely isn't something you would enjoy having.
No, that would be horrible. Your head,
like most diseases.
It's all bulbous and veiny and can't move.
Yeah, no.
I don't know what the life expectancy is with that. I don't even know if that can be cured or not, repaired or not. I didn't look into that. I don't think it's very common. I think it's pretty uncommon. That's part of why I didn't dig into it. I didn't see initially when I was reading about it. I didn't see a whole lot. Other than I looked up a bunch of pictures. It's not pretty. That would definitely suck.
Yeah, that would totally suck.
But apparently the traditional story in Lake Town Township is there was a hospital or an asylum and their children were treated and it closed down and they were forced to let the children go and they didn't really have anywhere to go. And in Michigan, it always says it's around the 60s and 70s when this place was open. But there's nothing there. There's no old building records for a hospital or an asylum around there. There's just a mansion. Because the guy bought the land, and then the state bought the land after the nuns had it, the seminary school. And there was no hospital or anything. No asylum.
Interesting.
It was a pretty clear line, from top to bottom of who had it next, and basically what went on there. If you're looking from the top down, there's nothing seriously questionable if we're talking about.
I'm just looking at pictures of water on the brain.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
No.
I thought I had a big head.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry, I had to.
Yeah, no, that's...
accurate.
That's questionably larger than your head. Definitely.
Notably. Yeah, my head does not look like that, thank God. Thank the powers that be. So some of the ghost stories, maybe I could, I'm not going to say them again. So they see her walking the halls, showing up, like she'll appear right next to people when they're there, visitors.
Okay.
Yeah. Her bedroom doors open and close on their own. Again, they see her dancing. They see kind of a shadowy figure dancing in the
like
third
a full
floor.
figure thing?
Yeah, like a woman. They see a shadowy figure of a female dancing in the ballroom. Some people say they see kids playing on the stairs and jumping from the balcony.
See, that would creep me out. I don't like if I'm somewhere where I know for a fact there's no children, and all of a sudden I'm hearing children noises that shouldn't be there.
See, I don't.
That creeps me out.
I think that was someone.
That creeps me out.
Yeah, I think the kids. I think someone saw what they wanted to see as far as because there's no stories of no records that I could see of any young children dying there. Just the wife, and then the father, and then eventually they sold it, and everybody was out. Okay. Not that long. No, they didn't have it that long.
Yeah, old lady. I mean that. If I saw that
came
upon that wouldn't be terrifying at all, really.
Yeah, but that makes the most sense to me is that she would still be there because she's like, oh, this beautiful house, and then all of a sudden, not even 6 weeks later, not even a month and a half later, you're gone.
Yeah, definitely.
You barely, you didn't even get to. You're not exploring 400, however many hundred acres of land you bought in that amount of time. So, I can see it. I can see her wanting to hang out. I did find one story that was cool. Again, I think this is a little far-fetched.
What's that?
Reaching out for
What
ghosts.
Is that?
So there's a story of some teenagers, you know how kids are. They were going to go This is before the restoration efforts started and came to fruition.
Okay.
There was a group of teens that were going to the mansion. They were going to, spray paint or whatever.
Oh,
just do some vandalizing.
Go in and do some drugs.
Do some drugs. We're going to trip hard, bro.
Chug a 30-pack of beer, man.
Got some natty daddies. Here we go. But they showed up, and there was apparently a man in a horse-drawn carriage pulled up and asked them if they needed a ride. When they were in the park, it was a park then. They were in the park going to this mansion.
Yeah.
On one of the whatever trails that were out there. Dude, apparently a horse-drawn carriage pulled up next to them and asked if they needed a ride.
That's creepy. What? That's creepy.
And the kids just ran. They just took off running. Didn't say anything about ghosts. Maybe it was just like a dude that is a carriage enthusiast. Are those things? Well, people do horse-drawn carriage rides.
Do they have
so that's popular.
Wait, remind me, where is this again?
This is in Laketown Township, Western Michigan. This is so it's parkland now. This is a park. It's a public park. So
do they have reenactments there?
That's a good question.
Was there a Civil War encampment nearby, a fort?
That's a good question. I don't know. I didn't actually think about that.
I don't know. Why?
I don't think the war was super heavy.
Trying to explain why these kids saw a carriage. I don't know.
Could have been.
If there's no reason for there to be a carriage there, why would these kids claim that?
That's what I'm saying. The dude is a carriage enthusiast.
Carriage enthusiast.
He owns a stable and he likes.
I mean, I get there's people that are horse people, but
that's what I'm saying.
Nobody just rides their carriage around.
This guy might have. You don't
Even
know.
Horse people don't just randomly ride their carriage around.
People charge carriage rides too.
That's in certain places during certain times of year. Yes,
this might be one of those places.
No.
That sounds like something I would do. Just take a horse and carriage. I'd be like,
God.
Yeah, here we go.
What
would I say? Well, obviously, I'm wearing a top hat.
Yeah, no.
Petticoat with tail flaps.
Tail flaps.
Tail flaps. Pinstripes.
It would be orange like in Dumb and Dumber.
No, they didn't like orange suits back then. It would have to be just straight black.
But that's what you would wear.
I don't like orange. Not on my clothes so much.
Well, I don't know. You would have an obnoxiously colored.
It would be like a dark blue. Obnoxious.
It would be like a powder blue.
Powder blue?
Yeah, that's from Dumb and Dumber.
Is that like sky blue? Oh, no, his other suit?
Yeah.
Okay. I would do that. I wouldn't want it to be all silky, though. It's what is that frilly thing called? I can't remember what those are called.
The vest?
No, the frilly, on the front, on the chest.
Oh, that's just if they want the puffy chest.
Yeah, what are those called, though? We wore them in band. You wore them in band. You guys didn't have those? Oh, we did. They had a name. I can't remember what they were. Fluffy. Fuzzy chest.
No.
I guess just let my chest hair out instead.
What the hell? Oh, my God.
Suit with chest hairs.
Yeah, no, we didn't have those in band.
No?
No, we just had a full-on jacket, pretty much.
Well, we had the jacket, too, but it had the thing. My sister was probably going to smack me when she hears this. Like, you know what it is, idiot. I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank on that. I haven't thought about that in a long time. Yeah, that's about it for Michigan, though. Other than the ghost story was the coolest thing. That sounded the most legit, really. Everything else is kind of... we're just copying Ohio because Ohio's better. I don't know.
Basically.
Yeah.
Michigan sucks.
If you're from Michigan and you hear this, please don't hate me.
Yeah, we're just Ohio State fans, sorry.
We're born and raised in Ohio, baby. Ohio, baby! O-H!
I-O.
Yeah. What's up? Connecticut had a bunch of stuff. I'm going to jump over to Connecticut. I'm going to save Ohio.
Yeah, cool.
Save the best.
It's a very beautiful state. I like Connecticut.
I don't know if I've been there.
I've driven through Connecticut. It's very nice.
Maybe not, though.
It's very pretty.
Been to New York a couple times.
Yeah, I want to go there later in the fall, though.
Yeah.
I went there kind of early.
Yeah. Highest population of black bears to people in the country.
Connecticut?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, well, that's a fun fact, I guess.
So if you want to get attacked by a black bear, or at least have the highest chances of black bear mauling, go to Connecticut.
And slather honey on your bodice as you go out for a hike.
Wear a sheepskin. A raw sheepskin. And walk around screaming like you're an injured animal.
Ah!
Yeah, there was a bunch of stuff in Connecticut, actually. I was surprised. There was 3 main legends. Everything else was basically just offshoots of these 3 main legends. Number 1 was the Melonheads. Number 2 was the Danbury Frog People.
Frog people?
And
That's a thing?
Number 3 was the Faceless People. The only reason I mention it is because Danbury Frog People is mentioned. It's as prevalent as the Melonheads. But if you read the description on them, it sounds basically like the same thing, but they kind of put a frog spin on it. They say they have like bloated green skin.
Interesting.
Yeah, and fickle lips. Like,
and
that bedtime stories. Remember that?
Bedtime stories?
The creepy bedtime stories to tell at night. The book and the movie that they made.
No.
That lady, the one where she's pale and has long thin arms and no neck, and her mouth is like twice as her head is way bigger than.
Oh, the troll lady?
Not the troll though, but you know,
I'm trying to look like her. Recreate it.
I'm trying to look like her. So
this
this
is like radio. People can't see you doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
If we should do that at some point. I'm sure we might.
Yeah, eventually maybe.
If people want that, we should definitely do cameras.
We'll
But for you listeners, I'm trying to hunch my shoulders as high as I can and slouch, just suck my neck into my lower back.
The way your hair looks right now, it looks like you have 2 wings coming off the back.
So all right, so picture pale, just like basically. Trying to think of how to describe this, like a round top and then go straight down the sides, like a cylinder almost with a rounded top. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That kind of shape, but add some shoulders there. This lady from that movie she's very pale, like basically white, like my shorts.
Like a white Goomba.
Yeah, but way more evil and disgusting.
Okay.
Freaks me out. That movie was so good. Scary Stories to Tell at Night or whatever. That was based on the books. You ever read those books as a kid?
I don't remember.
I read those way back. I grew up reading that shit.
I do not remember those.
So
I just remember Goosebumps.
It was terrifying. Oh, this is like Goosebumps, but times scarier wise. It was like times 2. Way scarier.
There was Goosebumps
creepy.
Books.
No, I read all of them. I read all of R.L. Stein's work. His Goosebumps series, all of that. And I watched the show too back in the day. The show was awesome.
The shows were good too.
But Scary Stories, I think it's called Scary Stories to Tell at Night. That was real creepy because of the illustrations on it. Oh my God, they're so freaky. Awesome stuff. I love those books. I think there's 2 or 3 of them. There's at least 2.
Yeah, I never read those.
But they made a movie a couple years ago about that, and it had a bunch of those stories in it, and it was pretty cool how they tied it together. But anyway, we're getting off track. The point is,
yeah, we're all over the place.
Well, that's kind of what I wanted to do. This is where we have fun. This is a good time. We're just here to have a good time and cover as best we can what we.
Yeah, the topic, basically.
Try to know what we can't really know, I guess, without knowing it. That sounds not correct, but anyway, I picture them looking like this lady. She's all hunched. I'm sure people out there listening know what I'm talking about. You don't. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm still trying to picture.
Just Google it. I don't know. I'm just gonna pull it up for you. I don't know why I didn't do that sooner.
I just don't. I'm not picturing it. The only thing I remember of us watching as a kid was the troll.
Oh, boom! Park. Right there. Oh God, this does not make me happy. Boom! That's the picture from the book. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. That's what it's called. That's the lady.
Oh, okay.
Fuck that. In the movie, oh God, it's horrible. In the movie, this kid is trying to run from her, and she just keeps appearing in front of him, and eventually his world like morphs into this hospital hallway that's an intersection.
Okay.
4 ways, and it's all the same hallway, and she's coming down all of them towards him in the middle. And the sounds she's making are disgusting and not good. Picture, like...
She doesn't look that bad.
She looks horrible. Picture...
But there's the one from the movie.
Picture the most disgusting... Picture this thing eating a sandwich, and that's the most... Look up this lady if you're listening. Look up this lady and picture her eating a sandwich.
There's no way she has teeth.
And being very happy about it. It doesn't matter. She's got teeth in
You would have to puree the nuggets
she's
for her to eat
him, and she's like... like groaning.
Okay, that's a little weird.
Picture her masturbating and eating a sandwich.
Oh my God.
At the same time, and she's very happy about it.
Okay, now that's getting worse.
And then she just
that's getting wrong.
All 4 of them like hug the boy, and he just melts into her. It's horrible. Like if I was a kid and I watched that, I would not let my kids watch that. I'm telling you that right now. They would have nightmares.
That is a little weird.
It was disgusting. It was so uncomfortable. I don't like it when things eat things, like people specifically.
Yeah,
I don't like that. God. But that's how I picture the Danbury frog people looking. Short story.
So are you like terrified of cannibals then?
Cannibals? No.
Yeah.
Because they'll kill you and then they eat you. But something like that. I don't know why. That's weird. It's like deeply ingrained. I used to have a nightmare. I was a boy and I was at grandma's house in the driveway. And there was always a dude in a frog suit. And this is the weirdest story. I've never told this before. But I always had that. It was weird. I don't remember, because I used to have the same cycle of dreams. There was like 3 or 4 dreams that I would have. My dad would remember a few of them, so I know I told him about them. But I was in the driveway, and it was like a dude in a frog suit, and he would pull the mouth back. He was like, picture a dude in a frog suit standing there, and the frog's face is like, like he's wearing a frog head, and he would. It's hard to remember. I haven't had this dream in so long, but I remember. I don't know if I was like trying to play outside or something, but I remember he would grab me by the back of my waistband, and he'd like the head would come off, so it was like a dude's head, like a hood opening up, and the dude's head was there, and he would like spit bugs into my pants, and I knew he was, and I felt like he was about to eat me, and I don't know why, but that all like
bug spit.
Like live bugs just spit down into my pants, and I was like freaking out. I would always wake up because I thought he was gonna eat me. And I would always wake up.
That's a strange dream.
It was a weird dream. But I think that's why I have a terrified... Just the thought of being eaten whole. You ever watch Dinotopia?
No.
With the talking dinosaurs?
No.
There's this guy called Cyrus Crab in that movie. And he steals the submarine to get out and escape. Because these 2 brothers crash land on an island with their father. And it's surrounded by a reef. And there's dinosaurs that are alive on it and like live with people. And they're trying to get into the submarine to get out and get help or get back to their lives or whatever. And
get back to the mainland.
Yeah. They end up not at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it and you're mad. Fuck off. It's an old movie.
Oh, well.
It's been out for a long time. It's got 2 parts. But this dude, Cyrus Crab, steals their submarine and they like snuck the power supply out of it, which is these sunstones, like glowing asteroid rock.
Ooh, mystical.
Yeah, so they stole that, and he didn't know, so he gets into the water, and it just sinks to the bottom, and this giant... It's like a giant eel, but like 100 feet long, just swallows the submarine whole with him in it, and it shows from his viewpoint, just swimming down the throat. That terrified me as a child. Just being eaten whole like that. And you're just stuck in there, and then you're trapped, and you're trapped, and there's no way out. Eventually, gonna be dark, if it's not already dark. You're gonna either run out of air or start to be digested or something like that, and there's nothing you can do about it. That was always terrifying.
Being eaten alive in general would be terrifying, I think.
Not eaten alive, though, but particularly for me, swallowed whole like that while you're alive. Like
Either
a snake,
way would be terrifying.
Like a snake. Just picture a snake working its way over your head, which happens way more frequently than you would expect.
Either way, that would be terrifying. Yeah. Like to get eaten by like a shark.
See,
that would be painful.
You're gonna die pretty quick though. I don't think it would be though, because most people that get shark bites, they don't say that it hurts. It feels like most would say the same thing. It feel like they get punched.
Well, there's a test bite, and then usually they come back.
Yeah.
If they keep coming back...
Like, even the people that get their legs bitten off, because they go into shock before they feel any pain, usually.
Well, I'm just saying, like, you can get eaten by a shark, or, like, get mauled by a tiger, or whatever.
Tiger's the best way. Big cat, because they're going to go right for your throat and just crush your throat, and it's over.
If you're lucky. Or a bear.
No, because cats kill you first. Bears don't. Bears hold you down, and they eat you asshole first.
Bears would be bad.
Slurp your intestines out of your beehole after they rip it out. Bears are horrible. Wolves are bad too. There's a story. I was reading a story.
That noise.
Like spaghetti. Like spaghetti, dude. Bears don't care. You see that video of the bear ripping the cow apart, and the cow's like calling for help?
Oh, jeez, yeah, I did see that. That was a very metal video of nature.
Yeah. There's a story about these wolves. This hunter that I like, John Dudley, had found this deer. And the wolves had eaten the ass half of the deer. Intestine, skin, meat, everything off the back legs. And then they just go and lay down and leave it there for a while. For whatever reason. And then they come back and finish it later. Like, it's still alive trying to crawl away on two legs. And
how could it survive that long?
Because they're tough as shit. Animals can survive a lot. You're not going to recover from it, but you'll be alive. Yeah, but
how can you still
just the will to live is strong. People get shot in the head and still persist.
Well, yeah, but it depends where.
That's true, but they leave the heart intact, the lungs intact. You can survive for a while without the rest. Not that long, but if you're a deer, you can survive for a little bit. It's not like you're gonna bounce back from missing lower intestine.
Yeah, no.
But you might not die right away.
Interesting.
They just want to live. Their will to live is powerful. Why aren't there any ghosts of animals?
I don't know. Although what was that? I've seen a video where it was like, I want to say it was in Gettysburg, where there were ghosts of Civil War soldiers marching through the forest. They had dogs and they were on horseback too. But I don't know. There's not like stories.
But it's always with people though.
Usually, yeah.
That's something that we're definitely going to cover because there are, like spirit animals. So there are.
True.
But it's not common.
Like familiars, those sort of things.
Exactly. Well, I think the familiars are supposed to be more like a physical manifestation of your kind of animal servant.
They can be.
Yeah.
There's different definitions for it.
That's true. We'll definitely cover that. Witches. I was trying to make it
not bitches.
Not bitches.
Witches, yeah.
Witches.
Which definitely, anybody who needs a vacation, go to Salem because it is beautiful.
Is it?
The Wiccan capital of our country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool place. Very cool.
Aren't they super resentful about like talking about that kind of thing, like burning people?
No. They like educating people about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, so it never happens again.
That's what I'm saying. Like they're very like, we can't do this anymore.
Like they never want someone to get persecuted for their beliefs.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So they're pretty open.
Yeah, they're very cool.
It's funny how that works. Like, you're having a seizure? Burn her! They're like, help me! It's like, shut up, bitch!
They actually didn't burn anybody in the United States, though. That was only in the UK witch trials.
You sure?
That's something you learn in Salem. Yeah.
Huh, interesting.
Yep, they tell you that. All they did here was hang them.
I knew they hang them. But I thought they burned them because they were afraid that the witches were just going to resurrect themselves.
That was in...
Did they burn the bodies?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Interesting. How many witches do you think
there was only one guy, they talk about it. His name was Giles Corey. We're going way off, but...
Oh, that's fine. That's what we're talking
Giles
about.
Corey, he was pressed to death. And what they did with that is they basically stack heavier and heavier stones on you.
I know
every time you plead not guilty.
They put something else on. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Not guilty. Put a rock on you. Then they ask you again. How do you plead?
And he kept saying, didn't he eventually say he was, but then it was too late to like take the stuff off? He was dead.
Nope.
I read about someone else where that did happen then.
Yeah, he was just always the village mean guy, supposedly. I think.
An asshole.
Nah.
Well, so hey, moral of the story is be nice.
They whacked him.
Moral of the story is be nice, or your neighbors are gonna stagger rocks on you until you die.
Yeah, when it comes down to voting, death, and public execution, I guess.
What do you mean?
In a tight society like
that,
yeah.
Well, if you're mean enough, it's weird. People just want to do that for some reason. It's easy for people to get violent. We have a propensity for violence that is so much further than other animals. I think it's only because we're capable of so much more. Like, some predatory animals will go on, they call it a thrill kill. Like that lady in California that everybody was mad at because this mountain lion literally killed most of her alpacas that she had. You remember that? The alpaca farm lady? No. She got a permit to kill this mountain lion. She was going to have someone do it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because this mountain lion just got into her animals, killed one, killed two, and then was like, oh, fuck yeah. And it just killed everything. Killed
crap.
All of them.
Oh,
so like 14. Yeah. Killed like 14 alpacas.
Oh my lord.
Yeah, just didn't eat them.
That's the thing with cats too. They love to kill for fun.
Predatory animals will do that too. Wolves have been documented doing that. That's
killing for fun?
They call it thrill killing. Predatory animals, not any one in particular. Some more than others, I think, but yeah, some predatory animals.
I thought it was only cats that kill for fun.
No, cats do that just because they're assholes.
I just thought that was a cat thing.
No, definitely a cat thing, yeah, but no, I think it's probably more popular in wolves.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, they would, wolves, if they throw kill, they'll kill off whole herds of elk and deer, other deer, like white-tailed deer.
Oh, wow.
Moose, all of it. Bears do that too, as far as I know. Actually, I don't know if bears do that. I think I'm thinking of something else. You know what animal is awesome? Wolverines.
Dude, they're a tenacious animal.
Wolverines will fuck up a bear. Like the bears will kill Wolverines, but Wolverines will fight them to the death. Like, fuck you up, son.
They take down moose too.
I know. God, they're so weird. It's so ridiculous that they're so small, but they can kill a moose.
Moose is crazy animal.
Holy huge.
Yeah.
Well, let's get back on track. Connecticut. Anyway, frog people, frogs, frog people. Danbury. Frog
back to
people.
Connecticut.
What I was talking about was that lady from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. If you haven't seen that movie, it's pretty good. And if you haven't read the books, don't read them before you go to bed, unless you're cool with that kind of thing. So that's how I picture the Danbury frog people looking. And the descriptions basically fit that to a T.
Also, a little creepy.
Melon heads too, like cross between that and melon heads, basically.
Okay.
I think it's two just different area. Basically, what I had surmised from the whole thing is that there were different names for the same thing. Different names for the same thing. Danbury frog people and mountain heads. Just different areas, really. Everything that I've got 10 different towns. They all have their own version of it. Shelton, Stratford, Monroe, Easton, Weston, Seymour, Oxford, Milford, Southbury. All over these, I think Trumbull County and New Haven County. And I think Fairfield County. This is all in Michigan. Or excuse me, this is all Connecticut, not Michigan. This is all in Connecticut. Just these different towns in different areas, they all have their own version of what sounds to me like the same story. But it was a lot more prevalent in Connecticut than it was in either Ohio or Michigan. Because Michigan is basically in one area, and Ohio is in one.
So melon heads migrate?
Well, maybe. I don't know about all that. Maybe they do.
Melon heads migrate?
Hey, if they're people. People got feet.
Or are they animals, dude?
Well, we're animals. People are animals.
Yeah.
I hate it when people say that we're not animals. I almost got... I didn't. I stopped myself, but I wanted to get into a big argument with someone at work about that when I worked at Zeppi's.
Yeah.
He was like, people aren't animals? And I'm like, why not, you fucking idiot? They're animals. Your mother shat you at her womb. You're an animal, right? My God. You drink milk. You're a mammal in the animal kingdom. You're a mammal. We're mammals. We're animals. I don't know. People just always think we're not. Way more common. Anytime I mention that to people, more often than not, we're like, we're not animals. And then I explain it to them. I'm like, no, you're an animal. You grow. You're born. You breathe air.
You die. You fornicate.
You fornicate.
Or try to.
Like a bunny. Or a person. I don't know. Whatever. People do it differently. We're animals. We breathe. We sleep. We need the same basic things. We're animals.
Yeah, that's very true. Excuse me.
Just got a better brain, I guess. We're still animals, though. It's an animal brain, you know? We're made of meat, bones. What was I talking about? I forgot.
We're talking about Connecticut, dude.
Yeah, I know, but somehow we got talking about biology. People migrate. That's what I was saying. So maybe the melon. One of the things that I set out to do when I was researching was figure out what stories were the oldest.
Okay.
Where the oldest stories were. Best I could tell is Ohio.
Ohio, really?
Best I could tell is Ohio. So then we are
like the origin of where it is. Though.
Makes sense. I mean, Ohio was, once people got off the coast, went right to Ohio. And then spread west and south. I think more southward and then westward.
Yeah. Cleveland used to be a really huge city.
Yeah. Well, it's still a big city.
Oh, yeah, but
I think like it used to be. Now than it's ever been.
Not like when it was back with the steel yards.
Oh, you're talking about World War II.
Yeah, way back. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's it was hustling and bustling.
Yeah.
Way back in the day.
Yeah. I used to hear stories about how downtown used to be back in the day like that when I used to work downtown.
Oh, and people would go to the forest back then.
It was huge.
I've heard some stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
good times.
It very interesting. So
we're gonna have to find some spooky stuff from old Cleveland.
There's actually a fun one that ties into where I used to work.
Yeah.
One of the factories that's off of
that place that was garbage that we went
to.
The
Cuyahoga.
Yeah.
If you go, it's off of the Cuyahoga River. That's tied to an unsolved murder.
Interesting.
That's the Cleveland torso murder.
How many bodies do you think were dumped in Lake Erie over the years?
Oh, jeez.
Let's say the last 50.
Like dumped or found?
Yes.
Well, dumped probably maybe I would say a fraction of the bodies found. Maybe 30 to 35% of those bodies were dumped there.
Not a big gangster town, Cleveland.
I mean, it has gangs in it.
But I mean like gangsters. Like, hey, you, yeah. You look like a bindle stiff.
They used to be.
Really?
Cleveland, that's another thing they used to talk about. Some of the old guys I used to work with. For a while there, I think it was in the 70s, Cleveland was the car bomb capital of the United States.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Car bomb capital of the U.S. in the 70s.
Somewhere along those lines.
Wow. Interesting. I would not have guessed that in 100 years.
Yeah, I think it had to do with 1977, around those times. Here it says from Cleveland.com.
No names for obvious reasons, but I know...
Escalating mob wars turned Greater Cleveland into the bombing capital of America in 1976. Wow. 37 bombings in Cuyahoga County, including 21 in Cleveland, ranked number 1 in the U.S.
Wow, I was totally wrong. I did not even know that.
Yeah. I want to say that had to do with, Irish Mafia. Yeah, Danny Green, a whole bunch of people.
No names for obvious reasons, but I know a guy that dumped a body or two in Ashtabula Harbor.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, that's...
People are going to be like, yeah, right. And I'm going to be like, okay, I mean, I don't know what you want me to do.
That's a little...
If you say I'm wrong, I'm just going to agree with you. I mean, it's not like I have a picture.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
It's a true story, though, if you want to believe me. It's a true story.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not saying I was there. This is like back in the day, years ago. But I know a guy who's done some stuff.
There's always that person somewhere along the line.
There's a lot of those people around. That's why it brings us full circle to be nice. Be nice to your friends. Be nice to your neighbors.
Be nice.
Be nice to your neighbors. You want to get dumped in the bay? We'll cut you open and fill you with rocks, you son of a bitch. What are you doing?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Throw them in the bay.
Throw them in the bay. So the other thing, I want to get into this one first. The faceless people was pretty cool.
Is that like Slender Man looking folks?
Kinda.
Yeah.
Pull it up here.
Slender Man's an internet cryptid for people that don't know what that is.
No, not like that. But in appearance, almost kind of.
Faceless people.
Yeah, so the faceless people was one that stuck out. That was one of those three big ones. Melon heads, Danbury frog people, and the faceless people. And I think the melon heads and the frog people are kind of the same thing. I'll go into that more in a minute. I want to go into the faceless people here. So it was from Monroe in Fairfield County, Connecticut. So the locals call it the House of the Faceless People, and somehow, I don't know, and I didn't find a single thing that says how these people ended up with no face. But it says that they live in an old building, kind of out in the woods, and there's always there's a caretaker, one older gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how old, it just says old, so, I think of like Mr. Filch from Harry Potter. Like that.
Oh, jeez, that guy.
Filch is the caretaker.
With Mrs. Norris?
Yeah, with the cat. So I picture this guy just out in the woods, and it says every night he takes his people out, the people that he's caring for, his charges, takes them out just to walk around, get some air, maybe some exercise, I guess. But apparently they don't like sunlight, so they always come out at night. They have no eyes, no ears, no nose, just a mouth, and kind of like Slender Man, like bumps, little rises in the facial features where
like
your face
bone
would be.
Where it would be.
Yeah,
it's just skin.
Kind of, yeah, but no eyes, nothing like that. Just two little depressions on your face. No eyebrows, just skin. No hair. Like no hair on the face, but hair on their head though. Like a head of hair.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
and
weird.
Apparently they're kind of reaching around always, trying to figure out.
Trying to cop a feel?
Trying to cop a feel. Trying to steal your wallet.
Trying to get out of here. Don't be copping a feel.
Yeah.
6 feet. 6 feet.
That one was interesting.
COVID.
So the house in question in Monroe, Connecticut, Fairfield County, the teenagers still go there. I didn't find anything recent, but teenagers would go there. And again, this is kind of further in the past, like maybe 20 years ago, 30 years ago. The kids would go to the old house out in the woods, and then the caretaker would chase them off. And to me, it sounds interesting story. Could not find an origin to the faceless people. That one just was kind of creepy. It sounded to me.
No.
It sounds like some kids are going to this dude's house, like maybe he had a disabled grandmother that he was taking care of, or his mom, and the kids would go there and be like, "Oh, let's look at the weirdo." And then this guy would come out and be like, "Get off my property, you damn kids!" Chase these kids out. That's what it sounds like.
Oh, man.
And you know how legends go.
Yeah.
People just make shit up.
Why
do we make things up? Why do we do that? Why is the telephone game what it is?
It's the distortion in information that happens over time.
Can you imagine if you had perfect memory? I think about that. Sometimes I wish I did, but then I'd be like, maybe I would be really mad at people because I would remember every bad thing. I think that's an important part of our brains, is to forget the not so bad,
that's like
bad stuff.
A defense mechanism.
Every little white lie. Like, well, I can't make it here on this day, and I find out you're doing something else, or I can't go out right now, I got blah, 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 and then you see someone out somewhere else with other people. You would never forget any of that. Everything. Every little thing. You know how many times you farted yesterday?
Yeah, right.
You're disgusting! Every day.
Every day.
Hey, you said you were going to put that fork in the dishwasher, but you didn't. 3 weeks ago!
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Every day. Your whole life. There's people like that. They have perfect recall.
That would be insane.
That would be interesting.
I want to say I don't know anyone like that.
I don't think so. Anyway. Yeah. If they met me, I'm sure they'd remember. I'm not that person.
To get called out by a bunch
You tell me your name and I'll forget it in about 3 seconds. I'm like the other direction with
What's
that.
up,
Hey, you.
Jerry.
You know what my favorite strategy is
My
for that?
name's Ron.
Well, your name is stupid. You should change it. You know what my favorite strategy for remembering people's names like that? What? Let me get your number. Hey, how do you spell your name? Or how do you spell your name? You know, how do you spell your last name or whatever. Yeah. If I don't remember off the top of my head. Even if I already have their number, I'll do that sometimes. That's my key to not be like, hey, who are you? You were very unmemorable. Be more memorable. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just making a joke. It's funny. But that is my real strategy because I am forgetful, not because you're not memorable, whoever you are. I care about all of you.
No, you don't.
I care about a lot of people. I care about these faceless people just trying to live their life and be left alone.
I don't care about the faceless people. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah,
I don't care about them or the frog people.
Yeah, me neither. I don't know who they are.
Yeah, They
sound
sound like good people.
They sound weird. Sound creepy.
I don't like the sound of them or the look of them.
Like they're trying to touch you. Images. Trying to touch you when you're not looking.
No thanks.
In the dark.
Consent. It's 2020, goddammit.
Consensual touching is okay. You have a mouth. You have a mouth. Ask for permission. Melon head stories are all the same thing in these different towns. Every single one of them. What do I got? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 different areas. All of them have roughly the same story. Children, or potentially small people, deformed in the head, go to either a hospital or an asylum. They're either abused or they can't stay there anymore. Place shuts down. They revolt. They burn it down.
Kind of like
go off into the woods.
A Gollum Schmeagol thing from
but with a way
Lord of the Rings. Yeah, with a big old melon dome.
Melon dome. Kinda. Probably not as. Maybe, I don't know. That's probably a good description. Just with a fat head.
Yeah.
Like a regular man-sized head on Gollum's body. Aragorn's head on Gollum's body. Maybe very. Or like an orc head.
Big old
chunky orc head.
Fat head.
Yeah. Same things from Connecticut. Nothing too crazy there. But Ohio is where it gets interesting. Because
I know some of those ones. I know those ones.
Well, tell me.
These other ones are interesting, though, that they have somewhat to do with this, though.
Yeah, again, I think it was just people were reaching and...
Yeah.
Oh, on the Felt Mansion, I actually forgot to mention. If you want to check it out, if you feel like taking a vacation there, it's a beautiful area. You just... feltmansion.org is their website. Which that was how I initially found it, was through that website.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Which is their little restoration website. It is cool. Beautiful area. I'd like to go. But Ohio. Home. Big old Lake Erie. Tons of Amish people.
Yeah.
In Chardon. Not Kirtland. Common misconception. Kirtland, Chardon area.
Okay. Yeah.
Wisner Road. I mean, it's like all along the same stretch of woods, basically. We know there was a house there, and we know that it was burned. Somehow. Right. The legend in Ohio is the same, basically, except there's a name. There was a name. Dr. Crow. Spelled different ways. C-R-O-W, C-R-O-H, C-R-O-E. I've seen C-R-O-H-E, C-R-O-W-E. There's a bunch of different ways.
I've always heard Dr. Crow.
Yeah, that was the name.
Spelled like the bird.
That is where Ohio was different from everywhere else because there was a specific name. There was a specific name. I could not find any record from that house burning down, but also
no,
I didn't call the fire department. Maybe I could have done that.
You couldn't find that
I didn't find any newspapers or anything that had to do with that, and it wasn't that long ago, as far as I know. The house, because Dad went to the house. We went to the area, not to the house, but I think where you go up to the house, like on the left or whatever, when you park, because the Wisner Road, it's running through this very dense, hilly area.
Yeah,
it's not a complete road, kind of where the house is at. It's not a through road. It's an access dead end, and then it goes into a trail, which goes, kind of along the river, and then there's the other side of the road that continues. So it's a foot trail in between this area that's not that long. I mean, it's pretty short. I went in the day recently with Michaela. We went there.
Mm-hmm.
Still creepy. There was this weird feeling. I think it was just because we know about it. She didn't really know about it. I told her about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She never
when
heard
we were
the story.
there. Nah, it's not. I don't think it's a super popular story anymore. It's just common around here. I think
lost with the new generation.
Yeah. Well, I think it's super common, so people are like, yeah, right. Plus, if that was out there, I think we would have seen it by now. If they were legit,
right, yeah.
We would have caught little people running around out there.
Who knows? Maybe they're magical.
Eating squirrels.
Maybe they're trans-dimensional beings, dude.
Like Bigfoot?
Yeah. Intergalactic space vampires, dude, like Hillary Clinton. Sorry, that's an Alex Jones reference.
Here we go.
Just saying.
I'm a human, and I'm coming.
That man cracks me up. Anyway.
That's so great. But, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, in the area, I was going to say, you would think people would have seen him. But if you were going to hide, like if you were a crazy special forces guy, you'd probably go off in the woods in Montana.
Like Rambo.
In the wilderness, or Canada.
Canada!
You'd probably go somewhere there, or you would hide in that area. Because
this is why Canadians don't let us in their
There's
country.
not a lot of houses back there. And it's steep. There's a lot of hills. It's not like mountainous area. But it's like the foothills of the Appalachians, basically, There's tons of hills, tons of up and downs, deep river valleys, deep ravines. There's some pretty big cliffs out here. Not cliffs, but like a deep ass.
You can find some,
like a 200-foot ravine. You go to Hogback Ridge in Madison.
Nelson's Ledges is pretty gnarly. Like if you just stumbling around, coming upon that in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, what if there's an old mine shaft?
Yeah, all sorts of stuff.
Couldn't find anything about old mines there.
No.
I know that. As far as records are concerned, there are some crows. That was my initial thing. I actually looked through the FBI's database on FOIA archives, so Freedom of Information Act.
Uh-huh.
What I was going to do was actually fill out a FOIA request, but that could get kind of pricey depending on how long and how hard they have to look. That was going to be my next step if I didn't find anything. I ended up not following through just because I looked up, roughly what it could cost, and I don't have that kind of spare change lying around right now.
Times are tough. Times are tough.
Because I can't look. I mean, there's stuff that's not on their archives that you can just find. They might have to send it to you,
Yeah.
But they would send it to you. You just have to fill out a FOIA request. If somebody wants to fund us.
Was there a bunch of redacted stuff?
No, not redacted. It's just I found a bunch of just old building records, and I was.
I've never personally used it to look.
I was not able to find anything on a hospital or an asylum, which is the Ohio legend. So there's Dr. Crow. I've heard, the first one that I ever heard was that these children were orphaned after World War II, 45. Orphaned after World War II, not World War I.
I'm not a historian, really.
Yeah. Well, Hitler died in 45, so end of World War II. And
he died.
These children,
quote unquote, wink, he didn't make it to Argentina.
Wink.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Wink, wink.
Depending on what you believe.
No, by the way, the bones that the Russians had that said, this is Hitler's bones, not Hitler's. It's a female's bones.
Yeah.
Just saying. Anyway, sidetrack. The orphans, after World War II, were taken into this either a hospital or an orphanage, and it was run by this Dr. Crow, and apparently this guy... I've heard it both ways. Either these children are already disabled with hydrocephalus, or he did experiments on them and was injecting their brains with liquids and causing them to swell up. Either way, the result is the same. These children burned the house down, killed him, and ran off into the woods, and basically became feral people.
Interesting.
Yeah. Which brings us on to another topic. Wendigo.
Oh.
You ever think about that?
Dingoes.
That's an old. That's been.
Those
that
are
has
Native
to be true
American.
Yeah, I was gonna
if
say.
I'm not mistaken.
That it is. It is. The word Wendigo is Native American.
Yeah.
But I think that legend probably goes back as far as people have been getting stranded.
Those things are terrifying. Like shapeshifters.
Not shapeshifters necessarily. The Wendigo is basically, it's always the same story. Somebody, frontiersman, a settler, a native, somebody who's just out, in a remote area. You can't get back to your village. You can't get through to the next town. Can't get back to where you're going, where you're stuck. Out in the woods with a group. It's usually with a group or a couple people. You turn to cannibalism because you're stuck. Like it's common for that it's always in the winter. You're stuck in a harsh winter. You can't get through. Your animals die. You eat your animals. You boil your leather clothes and eat that.
So like a Dahmer party.
No, that's totally different.
No.
Eventually, you turn to cannibalism. Goes down to one person. You've killed everybody and eaten everybody else. But the story of Wendigo is that when you eat another human being, you're taking on not just their body, not just their meat, their blood, all that, taking on their essence and their strength, basically kind of consuming their soul and gaining that in strength for yourself.
Oh, wow.
And they say
it's
Wendigo...
like some dark magic shit.
Kinda, yeah. They say Wendigo is always hungry. Once you start, you can't stop. And you're always hungry for more man flesh. So what if the Melon heads... I don't like saying what if, but... What if... What if...
I never heard about no melonheads eating people.
Well, that was always the legend, is that they would become feral humans and they would prey on hikers. I couldn't... Not even one story...
I just heard they would take you. I just never heard they would eat you.
Well,
I never heard what would happen.
Yeah, they would take you and eat you. As sustenance for the winter. They would store you like a squirrel. Like a vicious little humanoid squirrel.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Do they have? Are they like chipmunks? Do they pack me in their giant bulbous cheeks?
I don't know about that, but they definitely hide you and preserve you so they can have food for harsh winters.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
Not a single count of someone actually getting... Not a single legitimate story of someone being attacked by a humanoid, small, big-headed thing anywhere that I could find around here that I looked. Nothing. But there are some accounts of people, people have dogs, people have cats. People find their animal butchered out in the yard. I remember this gentleman heard his dog barking in the night. Not uncommon. He lives in the Chardon area. And he heard his dog, dog whine, like when they get hurt. No. So he goes out there, grabs his gun, and goes out to check, and he said he saw a melon head. He said he saw this, it was dark, so it was like a shadow. Small, 3.5, 4 foot tall, with a big head, over his dog, and his dog was trying to get away, and he said he saw blood dripping from its mouth. His dog was all cut up, and he shot at it, and it ran off.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
It'd be creepy.
Yeah, that would be scary.
Yeah, when we went out there, I think it was just because I know the legend, and I've always known it, for as long as I can remember. But when you're out there, it's a weird feeling in that area.
It has a ominous presence about it in the woods out there.
But again, I think it's just because I've attached that story to that location. I think that's probably the main... Like, if I didn't know anything about it...
That's a thing. I forget what it's called. It's not a...
What, premonition almost?
No, not a premonition, but it's basically... It's what they consider Slender Man to be.
What? Oh, you mean like it's your belief makes it real?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Dude, we followed that pretty closely. Remember the proxy and everything?
Yeah.
That was an interesting story. That guy had everybody going. He had me going for a minute there. I was like, oh, this is so fucking real, dude. Slender Man's real. All right, and if you watch this video, you're going to die in 7 days. Not quite that hardcore, but it was pretty
That was a movie, too.
Did they make that a movie?
Yeah, that's the Ring or The Grudge.
No, because the Slender Man was way after that, both of those.
Well, yeah.
You mean the idea came kind of from that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I got you. Yeah, okay.
They kind of had the old same
premise. Yeah, you're right. Fun game. That game was goddamn terrifying. Remember playing that?
Oh, yeah.
Did you beat it?
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah, same.
But, oh, man.
It's terrifying.
I remember us playing that on, like, Halloween and stuff.
Dude,
oh, my God. Terrifying.
I was playing that and when I was living at Ray's, and Walter was over, and it was like the whole family was there, basically. Everyone. It was late, and everybody was, chilling in the living room like they do, watching movies. And I'm over at the dining room table playing that game, and Walter's there with me, and we're playing it, and we're like, he's panicking. I'm like, dude, shut up. You gotta not be so loud. Everybody's trying to watch. And then Slenderman grabs me, and he's like, ah! He just screams. Everybody was like, what the hell?
Oh, that's hilarious.
That was so fun. That game was creepy. That game scared the shit out of me.
That game was very terrifying.
Dude, the new Resident Evil is pretty scary.
Yeah, I've never played that.
It's first person.
Is it?
Oh, it's very good.
Huh.
I started playing it. It's terrifying. Oh, my God. There's a scene... Spoiler alert, if you haven't played the game, sorry, just turn off your ears for about 30 seconds. There's a scene where you're like trying to find your wife, and she disappears because she's got this, I don't know, she's like possessed or something, and you stab her and she disappears.
Yeah.
And then you have to go back down. It's like this basement that you came out of. You open the door and you start walking down, and you hear her raggedy ass breathing, and then and she's crawling up the stairs with possessed face out of the darkness. And I saw that. I was like, ah! I took off running back to him, and she like grabs you. Oh, God, it's so horrible.
That's scary. That's terrifying.
It's good.
They make some good scary games nowadays.
Yeah. That one they did right because they kind of fell off for a little while.
They make some good scary games, though. Yeah.
Back on track. I'm going to steer us hard left. Here we go. Yeah.
Bring us back in.
There are people with the last name Crow that live, or at least were. I found some old, whatever building documents, something to do with like loans. I can't remember what exactly the document was. I saved a couple.
The family was in the area, basically.
Maybe not even a family. People with that name. That name is, or at least was, in a part of the town in some way.
Okay.
Because I have some old loan documents or lease documents. I saved one or two of them. But I got those from the FBI FOIA site because the CIA wasn't around until what year was the CIA around? Not long. CIA has not been around that long, but the FBI was around. The FBI has been around for a long time.
Right.
So I found it on their documents because they have stuff from before that obviously the CIA won't have or doesn't have. So the name was there in the town. I did find that, but I couldn't find anything that had to do. No building records. Nothing to do with a hospital in that area or an asylum or even an orphanage. None of that. Nothing with an orphanage or an
Interesting.
Hospital. Yeah. But that building was there. There was that building. It's demolished now. They demolished it a while ago. I don't remember what year. I don't know what year. But the building is demolished. We went there. We might have been there post-demo. Not pre. I think we were there post.
Post-demo? Really?
Maybe. I can't remember. Because we didn't go to the house. We went into the woods.
Okay.
Remember? We took the trail.
Yeah.
The house was to the left, and we kept going. So, I don't know. Because we looked up there, and it kind of looked like maybe there was something there, but we kept going because there was that gate or whatever.
Yes.
That we didn't opt the gate.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was post-demo or pre-demo, but we know the house was there. We know there was a fire, partially burned down. I don't know how bad it was.
It took down some of it, is what I always heard.
Yeah, like half, like a corner or
something like that. Yeah.
There was the story my father told me. Yeah,
there was damage.
The story my dad told me is he went there when he was a teenager, so younger than we were, with his friends. They pull up to the house. It's kind of not a super long driveway, but it's got a decent driveway, and there's trees, so you can't really see it super good from the road. So they pull in, and he walks up to the house, and he said there was a light on in the house as he was walking up to it. And his friend's like, go up there. Go check it out. It's okay. We're right here. He gets closer, a light flicks off, and he takes off running. Yeah. And they got out of there.
Yeah, that's some scary stuff.
I think it's always scary because you want it to be, you expect, there's something you don't know, and that's the scary part.
Yeah.
No matter how unrealistic it seems. Even if you like are a hardcore non-believer in ghosts, you can be in some kind of situation where you're like, holy shit, a ghost is going to get me.
It's something.
Just the right, it's all about the right circumstances.
The boogeyman's out there. Yeah.
Yeah, could be.
The boogeyman's out there.
So that's always an interesting story I like to tell people. My dad was there.
Yeah.
My grandpa was there, all right, man. Listen,
back in the day.
You got to say it like you were there. That's the key. You got to confidence with it. No, he was there. He was there. That's a good time. Unless you were one of those kids, and it's not such a good time.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Used to experiment on them, make their heads big. That was in one of the stories I always heard.
Yeah. Hold on, let me pull up. I've got a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. Oh, yeah. Here it is. So, I found something that was kind of interesting. So, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base by Dayton or whatever?
Yeah, I actually went there as a kid.
So, around the same time frame, 60s in that area.
Okay.
There were stories of UFO sightings in this area. I found this was something interesting. This is what I talked to you about.
There's been some not too long ago either.
Well, this is around the time frame that we were looking at. I found.
This is from the CIA. From the files.
It's from the CIA.
Oh, really?
CIA. Yes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
There's a couple things. I'm gonna start not with the UFO stuff. I'm actually gonna start with this thing called. Let me find the name here. It's a technical report. So this is just basically on the physical specs of this device, and it was called. It's an electric sleep apparatus. Hold on, the name is in here. I gotta find it. Let me read here.
Is it a sleep apnea machine?
No, it's an electronic. An electronic anesthetic device, and this is back in the 50s, called the electrosome.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, it runs some kind of current through your brain and puts you to sleep like anesthesia does. But anesthesia is chemical; it's not electrical.
Yeah.
It's you get injected with whatever and you can clock out. This was back in the day. Pretty crazy to think about. Like this thing, it would put people to sleep. It worked, but it wasn't practical as far as development because it was.
It sounds like
it was difficult.
When they used to do shock therapy in the asylums and stuff.
Well, this isn't shock therapy though.
Well, yeah,
this isn't.
It was a little different, but essentially the same thing.
No. Well, yeah, I guess kind of.
Shocking to the.
But that's different. That's like directly running a big ass current through your brain.
Yeah.
This is different. This is not harmful based on everything that I could read. And there's not a lot of information on it. If you Google it, electrosome, it's not a super common thing. I don't think that it was ever pursued. But this document that was sent to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base from the base in New Mexico. I can't remember what the name of the base is. It's on here somewhere. It was from Taylor Ellis, who was a major of the U.S. Air Force, and he was stationed in New Mexico at the Air Force Base. Aerospace Medical Division, Air Force System Command, Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico.
So they're saying this was...
No. This is... I'm kind of drawing a line here.
Yeah. But this could potentially be what
my theory,
sparked the...
My theory is what if... Because this was sent over from New Mexico to, I think, a colonel. It says it in here. You can find this. Again, this is something that you can just look up and find it on there. I think this was from the FBI's FOIA documents. But you can find it on... Oh, this is from the CIA's. I actually have the number for it right here. Approved for release, 2008, 9/22... September. I had to think. So, 2008, September 22nd. The form is RDP80T0024. I'm not even going to say it. It's like 20 digits long. But you can look it up. And it's just All it does is cover the specs of this device they call it the electrosome. And this thing was actually on. I looked it up, and I'm gonna look it up again so I can say for the listeners.
The cool stuff. The deep dirt. That's what
this isn't that deep though, because this was at a world. That's what I'm trying to look for. I don't remember where it was. It was on like a world technology fair, basically.
Right.
This is where it came from, and it was at that expo, whatever it was called. I can't remember. I think it was 3 years before this document was sent. Well, that's fine. If you got to take a pee break, I'll just cut it out. Or we'll just wait and I'll talk about it because I still am looking it up. So you go pee, take a pee break, do your thing. It's all good. I will continue to talk.
I didn't know if you wanted to keep
No,
going.
it's fine. Yeah, so this thing is the electrosome. And they had sent this document over to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And the idea that I had was, what if, again, I don't like to say what if, but this was just a cool idea. What if they had done some testing with this thing and it had induced sleep, it had induced, an anesthetic, what it was supposed to do, and put people to sleep, but what if it kind of gave people some weird dreams or nightmares and they thought they saw something and it was over here, and maybe it was tested on the people without their knowledge. Sometimes that happens. I don't like to say what ifs, or sometimes if so maybe it could have happened. You never know. You can't rule anything out. This is a crazy world. I don't want to go super deep into conspiracies, but sometimes it's not the craziest thing in the world. Not the craziest thing at all. I mean, the CIA has definitely done some crazy stuff to the populace before without their knowledge or consent. Dosing the people with acid. Maybe there was some weird acid trip. Maybe that was a CIA experiment and they saw aliens.
Like some MK Ultra?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never know. That was something else I looked into just to see if I could find anything. Couldn't find anything about that.
MK Ultra? You couldn't find anything?
No, not MK Ultra. about an experiment done.
Oh, in and around.
Chardon.
Yeah.
Couldn't find anything about an experiment being.
That would be crazy, though. If they did something locally
that was actually how I found this. That document about the electrosome was because I was looking up stuff from the area.
Interesting.
And that's how I found that from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, because it's relatively close. It's in the state. It's not. You could drive there.
That's the closest area story.
You could drive there in a few hours.
Yeah.
Another thing I found, which looking from the same area, was the UFO stuff. And again, this is all stuff that is just public information. You can just look it up and find it. I found it pretty quickly. There was a panel on UFO sightings in Ohio.
Really?
Again, around the same time.
Is this like government certified UFO panel kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was run by the Air Force. This was at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. This is the stuff you can look up. It's comments and suggestions or kind of the detailed outline, like what do you call it? Like the day plan for the
interesting. Wow.
For the meeting, what they're going to cover, where the sightings are, what they were, what the panel's suggestions were. The panel's suggestions were for doing about it, if to do anything about it. Most of the stuff they found turned out to be kind of nothing, but there's a bunch of them that were still unidentified. They weren't able to say, well, this is a bird, or this is just a plane or a satellite.
Interesting.
Yeah. So what if it was Martians? That was my thought with that. What if there were aliens?
Yeah, I'm very into aliens right now, honestly.
Hey, listen, the government is really into aliens right now.
Dude, I'm really into aliens right now. I was just playing that remastered Destroy All Humans, dude.
Oh, how great is that?
I love it. I love that game. I love. I love that game as a kid, and the remastered one. They added little things.
Little flair.
But dude, it was
awesome.
nice. It was so good.
Did you ever play the second one?
Yeah.
Remember, he's like, the package.
I hope they remaster that one too, like they did this one, because that would be awesome.
That was what. Remember, they were like, he developed something to give him an edge over whatever, the package.
Yeah.
He's better than the other ones. He's got the package. Banging human broads.
Good God.
Crypto's my hero.
Oh, God. But yeah.
That was what I was kind of leaning towards with that, the stuff that I found. There was UFO sightings around the same time that Melonhead stories were, the origin of the Melonhead stories, post-World War II, somewhere in the 50s, 60s. I couldn't nail it down to a specific year even a specific decade.
When you were looking all this up, how many witnesses did you have for, like, actual...
Melonheads?
Yeah.
Specifically Melonheads?
Yeah.
Not a lot. Again, there was nobody that was directly mauled by a small human.
Well, just, like, sightings, not mauled.
I mean, there's a bunch. You can look up a bunch.
Yeah.
As far as what I found, probably only, like, 4 or 5 recently. There was a bunch...
I wonder if you tied those in with, like... UFO sightings at the same time.
As far as time.
And yeah, like if maybe that was actually a misconstrued
Martian.
Yeah.
A little green dude. The Greys?
Yeah, well, what's it called?
It sounds like the Greys.
Third kind visitation.
Close encounter of the third kind.
Yeah,
third kind is like physical contact,
Yeah.
First kind I think is... What is first kind? I don't know. Second kind is like seeing an actual physical saucer with your own eye, I think. First kind is like radar or something. And then third kind is like physical contact, I think.
I don't remember.
I don't know.
I remember that being in that one movie, but I don't
Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah.
That's why it was called that, because the third kind would be like smacking you. So...
I wouldn't appreciate that, though.
You know that meme? You can fit so many whatever's in this bad boy. You can probe so many humans in this bad boy. It's an alien smacking his UFO. You can probe so many people.
Hey, why do they do that? They come all the way out here just to...
I think they were just studying our anatomy.
I think they were just doing it for a laugh. Like, hey, watch this.
Look what I can do. Woo! Look what this does.
Let's see what happens when I plug this here.
And now we run a current through it.
Oh, God.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's actually how it goes.
I bet it is. Nah, I think they were... If that's real, I think they were just studying our anatomy.
And maybe somewhere down the road we'll go into, like, abduction stories and stuff like that.
There's
but
a ton. You know what's funny?
Is.
Did you watch that Bob Lazar documentary?
I've watched it, but I can't retain it.
No, I totally get it. One of the things they were saying, though, is that was a good point, which is why I mentioned it earlier when we were talking about sightings. As our technology has advanced, there's only been an increase of UFO sightings, but there has been a decrease in stuff like Bigfoot or Melonheads.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So as our technology increases, it's kind of easier to see what is most likely kind of BS.
Or it could just all mean that all the weird fucking, what do they call it? The strange wilderness, strange weirdness that happens out there is all alien related.
Could be.
Or all extraterrestrial.
CIA related because they're drugging us.
I mean, some people say this whole thing is just a
simulation.
It's a simulation, yeah.
We're in the Matrix. Well, the Matrix has great graphics, but it needs to...
We're in a program while recording a program using a program.
You've broken down.
Programmingly being programmed.
I think you just penetrated like 5 walls.
Take that, Deadpool. Bitch.
It's like my brain is that tree and you're those little cookie elves.
Oh, good, yeah. I like that analogy, though.
That's from Archer.
That's good.
That's a good one. I've never seen any small footprints. I go out in the woods a lot, and I've never seen my grandfather and my mother's side and my uncle, Uncle Timmy, they go out in the woods a lot too.
Yeah, my father hunts.
They've never seen anything weird like that. No small feet.
No.
No little hands.
No.
Maybe they're not.
Besides that one time we freaked ourselves out in the woods, that was the only time.
If there were people out in the woods and they had a deformity like that, they're not going to live very long. So even if let's say all that is true, let's say that the melon heads existed, they wouldn't have lived long if they had hydrocephaly.
Not with some of the winters we have up here, honestly, no, because they're not insulated. They're not wearing freaking parkas and stuff with their.
Look at his little sweater.
They got snowshoes on and stuff. It gets cold here sometimes.
Dude, it's cashmere.
Can you imagine them using freaking scarves to wrap around their melon heads?
I like to think that they wear slickers.
Slickers?
Boots.
Oh my god.
Look at his slickers. He's got his wellies.
Good lord. No, you would definitely hear him coming, then you hear the squeaking.
Can you feel it, Mr. Krabs?
Good God. Why are we quoting that now?
Because it's funny. It's appropriate. It's our podcast. We can quote whatever we want.
Yeah, that's true.
I had a dream about melon heads. It was fucked up. That's about it, I think. I covered pretty much all the bases I wanted to go over. You think we should do... I was thinking about structure as far as this is concerned. Like, what should the structure be? I want to try...
Yeah, we're open to suggestions, too.
Yeah, we are definitely open to suggestions. If you want to contact us, we have an email, we have an Instagram at supernatural something.
Yes.
And the email is also that supernaturalsomething@gmail.com. Because the other way was already taken.
Yeah.
So whoever took that, please.
It's whatever.
Give it back.
There is a song by one of a band we enjoyed.
That is actually, it's funny. I'm glad you mentioned that. I was trying to think of a good way to put that in there. That's where I thought of the name. Did I tell you that? I told
really?
You that was where.
After it took me a while to even think of that.
Really?
But yeah.
That's all I could think about. Something supernatural.
Yeah, it's a good song.
That's a good song. Yeah. Crowbot.
Yeah.
What song is that? Fly on the Wall? It is. Fly on the Wall. Fly on the Wall by Crowbot. Yeah. Was the inspiration for the name.
Yeah. They're a very good band from Pennsylvania.
PA.
Next state over. But yeah.
That's where I got the name from, was from that song.
That's sweet.
Which is cool because that's about supernatural stuff too anyway.
Yeah.
That should be our theme song.
Yeah.
Let's buy it.
We would have to talk to them about that.
No,
that's
Hey, look at me.
That's somewhere down the line.
Look at me. We'll just take it.
Yeah, you're going to start working for that money. Because I am not paying for that.
Hey.
I know we've been buddy with them like at a couple shows, but that's not big.
Listen. It's mine now. It's mine. All right?
It's just the smells. It's just the smells.
Yeah, I mean, as far as structure is concerned, I kind of wanted to... It's so hard to do with this kind of stuff. I want it to be as truthful as possible. I don't want... If you're listening and you have stories, please send us in some stories. Send us in...
That would be appreciated.
Ghost stories, monster stories, anything that you have firsthand or maybe secondhand.
Anything weird, like ghost cars,
murder.
Yeah. I mean,
abductions.
You can't name names, but
I mean, if you want to, we can be detectives.
I mean,
we can help. We could do some good.
I watch a lot of documentaries, but I mean, hey, I got some psychology books, but hey, I'm not a professional.
I don't have a quote-unquote degree.
Yeah, but I mean, hey.
But I can read, I can see, I can connect the dots. That's all you need.
I can put latex gloves on.
Listen, I can wear sunglasses at night, all right?
I've learned that through 2020. I know how to put latex gloves on.
You ever watch The First 48? I could do better.
You know where that's at? Cleveland.
Oh, shit. I don't even need to go anywhere. But yeah, shit. I mean, as far as structure is concerned, I want to cover as many facts. It's weird to try and do, but I just don't. It's too much guessing. There's too much. I think this and blah blah blah. I tried. I mean, there's only so much you can do with this kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
As far as hard evidence, as far as hard facts.
Yeah, there's only so much out there, and then we can only go off the rails so much for one episode and come back and then talk about it.
I mean, I'm cool with that because that was the other part of this. I want this to be entertaining. I want it to be fun. I want it to be funny.
Yeah.
Have a good time.
Make it like everyone's hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I also wanted to. That's why I wanted you here, not just me reading off a sheet of facts.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be funny too. I want to have a good time.
Yeah. I want to try and do it in person as much as possible.
Yeah. Well, whatever.
Maybe we'll have some guests in the future.
We'll see.
Whether it be friends, professionals, maybe Bigfoot himself. Although that's a derogatory term, I'm pretty sure his real name's Daryl. He might come on. That's his native name, I think, Sasquatch. But his white business, white collar name is Daryl.
Why don't we just call him Gigantopithecus? His Latin name.
That's scientific.
Yeah, Latin. Gigantopithecus.
You say that wrong one time, you summon a demon, dude.
Yeah, but I won't say it wrong. That's what this book is for. We're definitely going to do some on this. Good old The 3 Magical Books of King Solomon, The Testament of Solomon, and His Greater and Lesser Keys in one volume.
Yeah, we could touch on that stuff eventually.
We're going to do a lot on this, I'm sure.
We'll have to do different episodes on different stuff.
Well,
we'll touch on stuff like that. We'll get all over the place.
I fully expect
voodoo stuff, creepy stories.
I fully expect there to be a lot of overlap too.
Yeah.
Which there was in this episode, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I like the way it went. I think it was pretty good. If you like it, obviously, like, share, whatever. Give us some feedback. Send us a message at the email, supernaturalsomething@gmail.com. Message us on Instagram.
Yeah. Follow that.
Give us a follow.
Social media. The medias. The medias.
Our social media.
Yeah.
All right.
But that is all, comrades. Until next time.
Stay spooky.